Well, welcome back to my wonderful abode. For those of you who don't realize it, this is Interpersonal Communication, Chapter 5, The World Beyond Words. We communicate in many different ways. Nonverbal communication is a very important part of it. Some authors have said up to 90% of the message is conveyed nonverbally. I don't know about that, but I know a lot of our messages are conveyed without ever saying a word. Uh, when I did my dissertation for my PhD, I did it on the loss of nonverbal cues for the visually impaired community. I interviewed couples that were both sighted when they got together. Now, one of them is blind. And you have to change your skill set. When I could see well, my wife had a couple of looks. One of them was, "Come here, baby, I want you." And the other one was, "If you come near me, I'll kill you." I can understand that by seeing her. Now that my vision is not so good, I don't know what her look is. So I have to rely on, excuse me, verbal communication. But those of you that are sighted don't have that problem. You see a lot. You make assumptions from what you see. Um, Nonverbal communication is made up of a couple of different things. Gestures. You don't say a word. You communicate nonverbally. Body language. Rolling your eyes, shaking your head. It conveys a message. Inflections. Most of you, when the professor is speaking in a lecture, you listen for the change in the instructor's voice for the stuff that's important. I have a loud booming voice, so usually when something is important, I talk softly and more slowly. And that change in the inflection in my voice highlights something. Pauses. A lot of people are bothered by pauses. Pauses are great. It gives you time to think. It gives you time to absorb. But when they're too long, they stand out. Tone. What's the tone of your voice? Are you have a harsh tone? Are you mad? Do you have a soft tone? Do you have a happy tone? Volume. Like I said, I have a booming voice. My son-in-law is very soft-spoken. When I don't have my hearing aids in, I can't hardly hear him. I go, huh? What? What? Huh? What? Accent. Many people have accents. And I'm not just talking about foreign accents. Um, People in the South have an accent. People in Louisiana have a different accent. Texas have a different accent. So in our broad United States, we have all kinds of accents that we have to get used to. Jewelry. Jewelry conveys a message. When I was a young man living in Texas, I met a couple of old farmers that had old tractors and they wore coveralls but they had this big gold ring or Rolex watch, So I could see he had money by looking at his jewelry or his wife's jewelry, but I couldn't see he had money by looking at what he was driving. Clothes. If I came to this video and I had a holy t-shirt on and a hat on, and then y'all would probably go, huh? What is this guy? So I dress up a little bit. When I teach and lecture in classroom, I generally have a suit on because to me it shows professionalism. It's what I should wear. So getting used to doing videos here in my basement, I didn't have air conditioning for a long time, so this is how I got used to dressing instead of putting a suit on and sweating real bad. Physical appearance. When I walk with my cane, people see that white cane, they know I'm blind. It gives them a message. Uh, a lot of times it's an erroneous message. Other times it's not. I was at a conference in Las Vegas and there was a couple walking and she was dressed to the nines. Little black dress, nice shoes, jewelry, hair done up, makeup up on, and he had like a basketball jersey on and untied shoes and shorts, and his hair was messed up, and it's kind of like, She went to all this trouble to look good for you, and this is how you pay her back. I mean, I got them. That's the message I got. Now she may have been perfectly happy with the way he was. I don't know, but to me, it's like if my wife goes to the trouble to get dressed up, I'm getting dressed up because I want to look good on her arm. So the physical appearance and the clothes that we have can make people think certain things. Tattoos. I don't have any. All three of my kids have tattoos. I don't think they're a great idea, but they're you know generally concealed or have taste. But I've seen people with tattoos all over their faces. And it's like I don't know how somebody could do that. And for a while I was making automatic assumptions. That person must be da da da. And then I realized what I was doing, and I quit judging people by their appearance. So there's similarities in between verbal and nonverbal communication. Both are symbolic. They use symbols and references. Both are guided by rules, and both have intentional and unintentional messages. If I'm I run with my daughter, and I have my cane, and we're running in 5Ks, and people will run up to me and say, "You're an inspiration." And I don't mean to be an inspiration. I don't want to be an inspiration. I just like to run. I always have. And part of me wants to say, why? Because my legs work. But I'm not rude to them. I understand that they have good intentions, and but it wasn't the message I wanted to get out that hey, look at the blind guy and run. I just wanted to get out and run. I wanted to be part of the crowd, and they reflect culture. Nonverbal communication reflects culture. This, to most of you, means okay. A lot of countries, this means the devil's eye or evil eye, and sometimes it means you're an asshole. This, you're crazy. In Argentina, this means you got a phone call. So it's culturally bound. Nonverbal communication is based on the culture we grew up with. That's where we learned these things. Now there's differences between the two as well. Nonverbal communication is actually more believable. We believe what we interpret their nonverbals to be. You know, take a bite of something and make a grimace look on your face. And how is it? Oh, it's good. Well, I think my wife is going to believe that before she believes, oh, it's good. Um, you know, I can talk to my daughter on the phone, and it's like, are you okay? Or any one of my family members, because we can hear it in their voice, that nonverbal stress that we can hear that something's wrong. The same as if you see somebody and you could tell that they don't look like themselves, they don't look happy. So we believe what we see more so than what we hear often. Nonverbal communication is continuous. You can stop talking. That doesn't mean you're not giving a message anymore. It supplements verbal communication. I caught a fish this big. My hands on the screen. There they are. I caught a fish this big. You know. Or okay. Thumbs up. Yeah, good job. So it supplements it. It regulates the interaction. When you're talking and you stop, somebody else knows to start talking. Interesting thing is, a person that's totally blind, they go by the same regulations. They listen for the pause in your voice. It's on different relationship levels. Immediacy. There was a study done, and this took the same girl, and they had her, plain Jane, no makeup, frumpy clothes, hair back in a ponytail, and she read to some fifth graders or 5-year-old kindergartners. And then they took the girl out. They did the makeup up, and they did her hair, and they put nice clothes on her. and she smiled, and she came in there, and she was so happy, and she read to them, and they asked the kids which one was smarter, and they said the pretty one. So immediacy is how we react to people. You know, waiters, waitresses, how you connect with them. Um, Liking a frown or a smile. You know, in nonverbal communication, it's when we like somebody, we smile or we frown. Power. Nonverbal communication is a used in power often. How big is the boss's office compared to somebody else's office? If you're talking to your boss and he's doing like this, looking at his watch, you know, he's telling you my time's important, hurry up. If you're talking to your boss and you start doing this, your boss is kind of like, what? So, you know, it reflects power. There's cultural differences in communication. We have different values. Touching is different. You know, here and before COVID, we would shake hands. When I met another man, I'd shake his hand. How you doing? And sometimes I'd shake women's hands. And I've been into countries where I met a guy, and the first thing he did was kiss me on the cheek. You know, I was representing the United States government, so I couldn't punch him out. I couldn't freak out. I understood that that was their culture. You know, and touching was different there. You know, we have our own restrictions about our space. You know, our space is my space. We had 18 inches or less is intimate space. You know, 18 to 24 inches is personal space. Yeah, and different countries they have different aspects of that. You know, think about it, if you get in an elevator, and please guys don't do this to any girls, but if you get in an elevator, stand next to the if it's an empty elevator, just the two of you, go stand next to somebody. They get nervous, they move to the other side. You know, they get away from you. If you get on an elevator, what do? You walk the elevator, you walk to the back, you turn around and face the door. It's a crowded elevator. Be the last one in the elevator, step on it, don't turn around. It makes everybody in there uncomfortable because you are not following the norms, you're invading their space. This is their space, and you have just invaded it by not turning around following the norms. Um, Kinesics, body position. It used to be in communication they would teach, they had this globe you stood in, and this meant you were thoughtful, and this meant you were so and so, and I'm glad they don't do that anymore. But, you know, how you move around tells people a message. Are you comfortable and relaxed? Or have you noticed when you have to give a speech in front of the class, you're gripping the podium so hard you're shaking it? You know, how is your body moving? And if you think about it, watch the people that you enjoy watching and listening to speak, more often than not, they have a relaxed posture. They're okay with it. And it makes it much easier for the conversation. If you're having a conversation with somebody that's real stiff, it's awkward if nothing else. Um, Artifacts. What are people wearing? You know, they make a joke out of the pocket protectors. Nerds that wear pocket protectors. Do they? Are they all nerds that wear them? I mean, or can you be a nerd without having one? Jerseys. Got your UGA or your Roll Tide jersey on. You're giving somebody a message. Doctor has a stethoscope around their neck. It's part of the tools to the trade. If you wear a cross, you're probably Christian. If you wear a Star of David, you're probably Jewish. So artifacts you wear. Environmental factors. Notice my environment. Behind me, I've got books. I've got an old radio. I've got my diplomas on the wall. I got a mural up. I have an orange couch. Yeah, and a chair with stuff stacked in it. It's kind of cluttered, but that's my office space. You know, when I was in the Army, I used to have a rebel flag hanging up because I was a Southern boy. And I was sitting there one afternoon, a friend of mine drinking a beer, and he happened to be black. And he kept looking at the flag. He kept looking at the flag. And it's like, what's wrong? And he told me how he felt about it. I took it down and never displayed it again because the artifact, the environment in my room was awkward to him. It made him uncomfortable because I had a symbol that I didn't see that way, but he interpreted it completely differently. And I understood after that. So, what is the environment like? Is when you walk in somebody's house, is it messy? Is it clean? Is it pristine? Are the bugs everywhere? The environmental factor of nonverbal communication gives you a sense of what's going on, sends a message to you. Proxemics and personal space. That goes back to what I was talking about a while ago, following the cultural rules. We have so much space is ours, and this is it changes in different countries. If you go to the cafeteria or McDonald's here and you get your food, and pre-pandemic anyway, and you stand there with a tray looking around for an empty table to go sit down at. When I was in Europe, if I sat down at a table for four and I was by myself, I might have three strangers come up and sit down with me. Now they would always ask, is this free? Is this chair empty? And before they sat down, but they had no problem sitting down at a table with somebody they didn't know because culturally that was acceptable, and the personal space was different in those countries. Chrometics, time, chronomic, I'll get it right in a minute. Chronemics is time. See, it's okay to mess up. It happens. Uh, People see time differently. I'm an old soldier. Somebody tells me they're coming over in the morning, I expect them in the morning. I wake up between 4:30 and 5 every day. I get up, I get my exercises done, I get my cup of coffee, I get me a cigar, and by that, it's all done by 5:30. So I'm waiting for somebody. I was in Mexico at a conference, and somebody said, "Well, I'll meet you in the morning," and I said, "Okay." So I got up, went and worked out, got my shower, got down there at breakfast. It was 7 o'clock. It was like about 10 o'clock. He showed up and it was like, you told me morning. I have a different idea of what morning is than you do. And so mañana, tomorrow, means tomorrow. It doesn't mean first thing in the morning. It means tomorrow. So when you're dealing with different cultures, you have to understand the different time perspective that people have. Silence. Silence can mean a couple of different things. Contentment. It could mean awkwardness, respect, punishment. My wife giving me the silent treatment, that's definitely punishment. It's not respect. It is not commitment or contentment. It is punishment. And it is awkward. But silence can be a good thing. Social media. Nonverbal communication in social media. How fast do you reply to a text or a message? Does it depend on the person? How fast do you expect a reply? I have a very good friend I grew up with, and she and I have been communicating for years. And sometimes when she replies, it's a week later, 2 weeks later. Other times it's immediate. I'm okay with that. But usually when I get a message, I reply almost immediately. Emojis, all those little different things that you can put on there, the praying hands and the heart and the pile of poop and all these things you can put on there without writing a message. Somebody's, man, my uncle's going through surgery, da 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 da, prayers requested, and you see these little praying hands on there across the screen. People don't bother typing "I'm praying" or "praying for you" or "thinking about you." They use the emojis. That's a form of nonverbal communication. You have to monitor yourself. What message are you sending out to people? I believe I told you about me sitting on the front porch using the phone and watching it instead of looking at my wife when she was talking to me. I realized I was being rude. So you have to monitor yourself, especially in the world of these little fancy things here that we're using all the time. Using these. If somebody's talking to you, yeah, okay, yeah, Are you paying attention to them, and you have to interpret others. The problem with interpreting others' nonverbal communication is the problem with interpreting anything else. You really don't know. You're not a mind reader. How many times have somebody expected you to do something or say something? I can't read your mind. No, you can't read their mind. You don't know what the message is. Um, I really like that sweater. My wife's birthday's coming up. I really like that ring. My wife's birthday coming up. I really like that so and so. Is she telling me that because that's she wants for her birthday, or is she just telling me that she likes it? I don't know. I got to figure it out. So I go by all three of them. And say, I didn't want this. Well, you said you liked it. Now, a friend of mine's an artist, and she expressed a whole bunch of emotion and like for something that he had done. And so I called him up, bought it from him, and had it sent to her. And that time I got it right. She wanted it, but she wasn't going to ask for it. It wasn't her birthday. It wasn't Christmas. It wasn't her anniversary. She just liked it a lot and didn't expect to get it. But I read that one right. But I can't tell you the number of times that I've read it wrong. So that is nonverbal communication. The world beyond words. A lot of us communicate that way. And interpersonal communication is a very important thing. It's very important for personal relationships to take the time to understand the message that they are sending. And it's important to send the right message, because if you don't, it causes conflict. And conflict's not what you want in an interpersonal relationship. So that's it. That's nonverbal. That's chapter 5. Y'all have my email address. You have my phone number. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Other than that, I'll see you with chapter 6 next week. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.